You reach for that familiar water bottle, the one promising crystal clear hydration and pure refreshment. It's almost second nature. We trust it because every ad, every label, every sleek design assures us this is water in its purest form. But what if that trust has been misplaced? What if the real story of bottled water is far more complicated and far less healthy than we've been led to believe? Let's start by unraveling the myth of purity that surrounds bottled water. For decades, we've been conditioned to view bottled water as superior to what comes out of our taps: cleaner, safer, fresher. The marketing is nothing short of genius. Images of untouched glaciers, forests, and bubbling brooks fill our minds as we take a sip. But here's the reality. Much of the bottled water on the market is, in fact, nothing more than filtered tap water, sometimes with a bit of added minerals for taste. You're often paying hundreds, even thousands, of times more per liter than you would for the same water at home. And while your tap water is usually subject to rigorous, transparent testing and strict regulation, the oversight for bottled water is surprisingly patchy. Some bottlers are allowed to use less stringent standards, and the testing for contaminants, particularly those that can seep from the bottle itself, is inconsistent at best. The real issue, though, isn't just about where the water comes from. It's about what happens once it's sealed in that plastic bottle. Every single bottle is made from petroleum-based plastics, most commonly polyethylene terephthalate, or PT. These plastics are engineered to be sturdy and lightweight, but under the right conditions, say exposure to heat or sunlight, they begin to break down, releasing tiny fragments into the water. And these fragments are so small, so invisible, that you would never know they were there. Recent scientific breakthroughs have revealed the true scale of this invisible invasion. Using advanced laser-based technology, researchers found that a single liter of bottled water can harbor as many as 240,000 particles of microplastics and even tinier nanoplastics. That's hundreds of thousands of plastic pieces in every bottle. The very bottle you trust to keep your water pure may actually be dosing you with a steady stream of microscopic plastic. Where do these particles come from? Some flake off from the bottle's walls and the cap, especially if the bottle is squeezed, twisted, or exposed to heat. The friction of opening the cap alone can send a shower of nanoplastics into the water, and the smaller the particle, the more easily it can slip past your body's defenses. Nanoplastics are so minuscule that they can cross the lining of your intestines, enter your bloodstream, and travel to your organs, even your brain. The long-term health effects of ingesting microplastics are only beginning to be understood. Early research links them to chronic inflammation, immune system disruption, oxidative stress, and even the potential to carry other toxic pollutants deep into your tissues. These particles act like little magnets for pesticides, heavy metals, and persistent chemicals, concentrating dangerous substances and carrying them into your body. Every sip of bottled water, then, is not just a drink. It's a roll of the dice in a grand, unregulated experiment. But the dangers don't stop at the plastics themselves. The bottles are also a source of chemical contamination. The plastics used to manufacture water bottles are mixed with industrial chemicals like bisphenol A, BPA, and phthalates, substances known as endocrine disruptors. These chemicals can leach into the water, especially when bottles are stored in warm conditions or for extended periods. BPA and phthalates have been linked to a host of health concerns, including reproductive disorders, metabolic issues, increased cancer risk, and developmental problems in children. Even BPA-free bottles are not necessarily safe, as many manufacturers simply replace BPA with similar chemicals that may have the same harmful effects. It's not just the immediate exposure that's concerning. The real risk comes from cumulative, low-level exposure over months and years. For vulnerable groups like pregnant women and children, the stakes are even higher as their bodies are far more sensitive to hormonal disruptions. That bottle you thought was keeping your family healthy might actually be undermining their health in ways you can't see or taste. And while these health risks are serious, the reach of bottled water's impact goes even further. Consider the environmental toll. Globally, We buy about 1 million plastic bottles every single minute. Just a tiny fraction are ever recycled. Most end up in landfills, incinerators, or the natural environment. Over centuries, these bottles break down into the exact same microplastics, contaminating our water, our air, our food supply, and even our bodies. Plastic pollution is choking marine life, disrupting ecosystems, and finding its way into the most remote corners of the planet. The health dangers of bottled water, then, are not just personal. They're planetary. The more plastic we use, the more we contaminate our world and ourselves. It's a feedback loop that affects every living thing. So where does that leave us? The solution isn't complicated, but it does require a shift in our habits and thinking. The most effective way to protect yourself from the hidden dangers of bottled water is to stop using it. Switch to a reusable bottle made from glass or stainless steel, materials that don't leach plastics or chemicals. Invest in a good water filter for your home. In most areas, filtered tap water is not only just as safe as bottled water, but actually held to stricter standards. A simple filtration system can remove chlorine, heavy metals, and other contaminants, delivering water that's clean, safe, and free from plastic. By making this change, you're not just protecting your own health. You're also reducing plastic waste, protecting the environment, and sending a message to an industry that profits from misleading claims and environmental harm. Every time you refill a reusable bottle, you're choosing a healthier, more sustainable path. The truth about bottled water is out. The illusion of purity has been shattered. But with knowledge comes power. The power to make better choices for yourself, your family, and your planet. Don't let marketing myths dictate your health. Take control. Choose real purity. Choose real safety. And let's work together for a future where clean water doesn't come with a hidden cost.